video we'll be producing an upgraded version of my 32 button sim box. If you're watching the previous video, I made a 32 button box, and on the fascia was made from self-adhesive translucent decal paper, which you can fit in a laser printer or an inkjet printer and just print off the fascia for that button box. In today's video I'll be doing the upgraded version, which is this, which is made from 4mm acrylic, and it's been manufactured on my new toy, which is a Chinese 40-watt laser engraver. Well, I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go through the process. Right, welcome to another video from Togatech. This is a panel I cut on my K40 Chinese laser. It's an upgrade panel for the front panel to the laser itself. It's done by a gentleman. It's not my design. I'll leave a link in the description below to the Thingiverse file that you can download the SVG for this and cut one yourself. What he's done here is put in some extra buttonholes. These are for 16mm latch push button controls here. These three are latching because that's for the LED lights, the air assist and the air extractor. These are latching as well, 16mm latching lights. I'll leave a link to the type of buttons you need for these as well in the description below, for laser on and your water pump on. This fits the normal on-off switch that comes with the K40 laser. The test fire button obviously is a 16mm push button, but it's a momentary contact switch. Then you've got two holes cut here for, this is a LED thermometer that measures the reservoir temperature, and what goes in here is an LED voltmeter. With this voltmeter and the 1K 100 turn pot here you can replace the original with a 100 turn pot. This gives you far more sensitivity of the laser's power. This is a voltmeter, and you can measure millivolts and volts, and that will give you a far more accurate reading of the power of the laser than the standard analog ammeter that comes with your K40 laser. I'm very impressed with the cuts here. I think the laser itself is actually less power than is actually given as a description on the box and on the laser tube. It says it's a 40-watt laser, but with a 40-watt laser these should have been cut with a single pass around 150 millimeters per second and about 5 milliamps. Should have done this at a single pass, all of these cuts. This actually took me 3 passes at 8 millimeters per second and 10 milliamps. So I needed a lot more power and a lot slower cut to cut these than it should have taken with a 40-watt laser. So I don't believe this is a 40-watt laser. I think it's more likely 20-25 watts. This is 4mm acrylic, but the cuts are beautiful, really nice and smooth. I love it. And the raster engraving for the labels of the switches and that as well. They're not perfect, but that's me getting to grips with this system. Right, so for today's video what we're going to do, I'll put this aside now. Today's video is going to be an update on my 32 button box panel that I did in a previous video. If you want to have a look at a previous video, you'll see I did a 32 function box, button box for DCS World or various other flight sims, racing sims, etc. Now with that video I did the whole thing, all the face panel and that was done with just printed on clear self-adhesive like decal paper that I just put through my printer and printed off there, but I did create an SVG file for all the functions and the button holes and switch holes, everything on that. So I'm going to use that same SVG file to cut this 4mm clear acrylic and to raster engrave all the buttons. So the first stage is to prepare this. I've got a sheet of 4mm clear acrylic. What I'm going to do, I'm going to spray all of this black, and then I'll etch the back of it. So all it will do, the laser will just burn off the layer of paint, leaving the clear lettering through which the backlight, the LED backlight, will shine through. So all we need to do is prepare this piece of acrylic first. So I'm going to give it a light sanding just so that the paint will key to the acrylic. So just give that a light sanding, just take the shine off of it. And this will give the paint a surface to adhere to. But when it's engraved, it will still allow the light from the LED backlight to shine through. Just using a fine, what is this? Just a fine piece of wet and dry. Just gives the paint to a surface to adhere to. Because unlike this control panel where I've laser engraved or raster engraved the labels for the switches on the top surface, so this one cannot be backlit, because all I've done is burnt away slight part of the grey surface, so it's made it look white, so no light will shine through that at all. So with this one, because we're using clear acrylic as opposed to grey acrylic, if I engrave it on the back, where I paint the back and engrave the back, the light should shine through. So I'm just going to give that a dusting over with some black spray paint. Let's find my black spray paint. Here we go. I'm going to use this here, this easy spray paint. Should be good for acrylic. Hopefully I won't get it all over the camera. Give that a good shake up. Give it a light dusting. Right, you don't want to rush this, so that's one coating on there. What I'm going to do now is leave this dry and pause the video, then come back once this is dry and just check to see if we can see through it or not. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. Right, as you can see, I've done 2 coats of this black acrylic paint. See that? Black acrylic paint. 2 coats on there. That's the back with the actual paint on. I'll flip it over to the front of the acrylic, and so you can't actually see through that at all, which is perfect. That's what we want, because we're going to engrave on the painted side here. We'll then raster engrave on here and also cut out the holes. So what I'm going to do now is prepare the SVG file for the cutout for the switches and the buttons, toggle switches, and also the engraving file on there. So I'll come back to you once I've got the SVG file set up, and then we can pop this acrylic in the laser and start cutting. Right, as I previously showed you, we prepared a file in Inkscape. Just open that file up for you, you can see it in Inkscape. I'll leave a link to all the software downloads in the description below. This is Inkscape. We open up the file for the 32 button box, which is that one there. As you can see on here, anything in red is a cut, anything in black is an engrave. If there was blue on here, anything in blue would be a vector engrave. Now we've resized this, whenever you do anything, design anything in Inkscape, make sure if you go to document properties that you, over here you see, make sure display units are in millimeters, your units are in millimeters, and you resize your actual file to the size of the document. That way you don't have any large file sizes. Okay, so that's Inkscape dealt with, so then just save this file to anywhere on the desktop or wherever, and now you want to import this file into K40 Whisperer. So if you download the software that runs your K40 Laser, K40 Whisperer is the best one I've found to use at the moment. So download the software, again I'll leave a link in the description below. So if we just open that one up, so we've got K40 Whisperer open here. Now this will control your laser. All the little functions on here are quite self-explanatory. The main ones down here, this here is your raster engrave, your vector engrave and your vector cut. Now these control the speed of which the laser head moves and the power output you control from the actual laser. But these do make a difference into how it cuts or engraves. I'm going to open that design file that we just had. If we open that up in K40 Whisperer, then it can calculate for us the time it's going to take to vector cut and vector engrave. It's just loading in the file now, just importing the file now. There we are. So this is our 32 button box. Everything, as I said, everything in red will be a cut, everything in black or grey will be an engrave. Now because we've done this, I want to engrave this on the back of my acrylic so that the light will shine through from the backlight LEDs will shine through. So if we were going to engrave this on the front of our acrylic, we'd have it as it is. But because we want to engrave it on the back, we have to flip this. So we have to do a mirror image of this engrave. Now you do that if you go into your settings and go to advanced settings. Here we go. And there's a section up there that says mirror. Click on mirror. There we go, it's flipped it around now. So this will now engrave on the back of the acrylic and allow the light to shine through. Now you can set here the number of passes you're going to do on an engrave or a cut and so on. But what I like to do is I'll do this manually. I'll do the first, I'll go through the first engrave, see what it looks like. If it needs to be deeper, I'll just repeat the process again. And the same with the cut. As I said before, I believe if this is a 40 watt laser, it should cut through 4mm acrylic in one go, but this doesn't, so I don't believe this is a 40 watt laser, so I have to do 3 cuts. But I like to do each pass one at a time, just to make sure, see what the depth is. If I can get through it in 2 passes, I'll leave it at 2. Right, excuse me. Right, let's plug the laser in. I'm going to see if I can go to 2 screens now, so you can see the laser as well. Let's try and do that for you. Here we go. Right, this is the K40. Not a lot to it really. This is the control panel. Got the safety glasses there. This is the control panel. This is your power level adjustment. This just moves the amount of amps going through. That's your analog milliamp reader. You've got the test switch, which is just a momentary push button switch which will fire the laser. This switch here turns the laser on, so the laser's ready to fire, and this is your main power switch for turning everything else on. What we'll do now is just going to plug the USB of the K40 into the laptop. There we go. Right, I'm going to power it on. So turn the safety switch on. So you can hear the laser kicking on then. It's all on. Make sure that power is off and this is turned right down. So if there's any accidental firing of the laser, it's not actually going to fire if the power's turned down. Right, so what we do now is if we go back to our display here of the K40 Whisperer. So let's show you K40 Whisperer again. There we go, and we've flipped our design round because we're going to engrave on the back of it. Now down here you can see these are the raster engrave settings, vector engrave and the vector cut. Now I'll do 3 passes on the cut at 8mm per second. I'm going to change that to 8. Vector cut passes, I'm going to change this to 3. Okay. Now the vector engrave is all raster engrave. We're not doing any vector engraves. The raster engrave is set to 100mm a second. Now depending on what power level you set that, it is how it cuts. You have to experiment a bit with this because it's not the same for different types of materials or different lasers. Now the last one I did, I stuck to the preset of 100mm per second, and I actually set my power level up to about 10 milliamps. So I'm going to try that for now and see how that goes, see if that's good. Right, so what we'll do is we'll do the raster engrave first, then followed by the vector cut. Now I'm going to put my materials in the machine before we get this started. So let's put the materials in the machine, and I'll reposition the camera so you can see what's going on there. I'm just going to lift up the laser head here, just the lid here. Hopefully you can see in there. I will actually do this with the lid open so you get a good view of it. However, I don't recommend it. You shouldn't be looking at it. This is the 4mm acrylic that we've sprayed with the acrylic paint on the back there. So now it gives you a nice shiny top coat, which you can't chip away at anything because the engraving is going to be done on a reverse. So if I put this in my engraver now, which straight away we come across a problem, is the fact that my sheet of perspex is actually too big. I'm going to have to cut this down so it fits inside the shape. Okay, well there you have it. There's the finished product. I'm very pleased with the finish, and this is just a test of the backlighting capabilities of this panel. Engraving's very accurate, very smooth, all the cuts are precise. Very pleased with my K40 Laser, and hopefully be doing a lot more projects in the future. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments or any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the section below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell to catch your future videos. Okay, well thanks again for watching Togatech, and I'll see you next time.